somebody hit the lights? Peace in, all you out there in cyberspace, those that are absent and are taking advantage of modern technology and joining us for pre-algebra today. I don't think they can do it right. They'll be able to watch it soon. Here's your homework, and I didn't have my book in front of me when I went over to the board yesterday. I think I got the numbers right. I might have missed one. Number 2 on page 12, correct?
Yes.
If I multiply 10 times 6 minus 20, I should get 40.
Yes.
Yeah. I got to do the multiplication first.
I agree.
Number 3. Do we have to do number 3?
Yes.
If I multiply 5 times 15 divided by 3, I should get 25 because I go left to right, and as I come across any multiplication or division, I do it in order. 5 times 15 divided by 3 is 25. Number 4. The answer should be 8.
We didn't
Oh, you didn't do 4.
We did 5.
I'm looking up there and I see the 4's not up there. Number 5. The answer should be 18.
Yeah. Yay.
Because first, Matt Kingston does 15 minus 7. And then he does 2 times 5. 10 plus 8 is 18. Right, Matt? Number, is it 7?
Yeah.
Number 7. Tough one. You gotta go inside the brackets and then inside the parentheses. Maddie? 30. Should have gotten 30 for number 7. Carly and who else wasn't here yesterday? Just, it's okay actually at this point if you go ahead and write the answers if you want. But make sure you get these done so you stay caught up. Number, did you have to do 8?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Your friend pledges $10 to you for a fundraising walk and 25 cents for each mile you walk. So you got $10, that's kind of automatic, and you have to add to that 25 cents for every mile that you walk. You walk 6 miles. How much money did you collect from that friend in your fundraising effort? Allison.
$11.50.
Now, how did you arrive at that, Allison? Because it says something in directions like, does it say like write an expression? What's it say? Oh, use the expression. Now, someone like Max and me, when I was in Max's seat, and they would use words like, it's not really a big word, but like we're in math class and the teacher's using the word like expression. That actually was like somehow a hindrance for me. I don't know why. So since I know that was for me, I bring it up to you. That can't be a hindrance to you. Like, oh, what is the teacher using the word like expression for in math? Expression, isn't that like if you smile or not? An expression is just a statement, right? You express yourself by saying something. An expression is just a way to state something. So they give you what they call an expression. You look at it like it's some kind of math problem, right? An equation. So the way you figure that out, even if you didn't write it down, oh, by the way, there'll be times when you have to write it down to show you know how to do it, right? Even if you could do this problem in your head. Let's say Liam looked at that problem and he goes, oh, $10, 6 miles, 6 quarters is $1.50. I'm going to get $11.50. If he could do that in his head, that's great. But the teacher will demand that he writes the expression. Why? Because math, building on itself, means that in the future, you'll get a problem similar to this and a much more important problem that might have to do with society at large, like you're building something or you're working in medicine, and you'll have to be able to write it down and do the work because you can't do it mentally. So this is what it looks like. 10, you started with 10, you add to that 25 cents. What's the word each mean? It's either going to mean to divide, please stop, divide or multiply. In this case, you're looking for a total, so you multiply, right? So it's 25 cents, and you could write times 6, or you should get used to this. If you write it right next to something in parentheses, please put that away, it's not used today. It means multiply. You could write the multiplication sign, you could write a raised dot, you could put parentheses next to it, to show that those all show you're multiplying these two things together. So then you go like this. That's 10 plus $1.50, $11.50, right? That starts you off with a pretty simple problem, but what I need you to stop and do right now is look at this thing we call an expression, where even if you can do it mentally, you have to learn to write it out. Because soon, this thing might not be a 6, it might be an X. Like you don't know. They might give you a problem. Remember, that's your fear of algebra. They're going to put letters in my numbers. They're going to give you a problem where you don't know how many miles you walked yet, or you don't know. So X is going to take the place of that. And then when you find out how many miles you walked, you plug it in there for the X. And I'll tell you. For instance, if this was the expression, and at this point I can get rid of the parentheses, if the expression was 10 plus 0.25x, now you look at that and some of you are getting a little squeamish. You're like, okay, I don't like the looks of that. The other one looked perfectly fine. 25 times 6. This, you're putting an X there. Why are you putting an X there, Mr. Franken? Because what if the next question was, how much money did they raise if they walked 12 miles? So what would you do? X equals number of miles. So no matter how many miles you walk, you'll be able to figure out how much money you made. You got the standard $10 that someone's sponsoring you and they've agreed to pay $10 plus however many miles you walk. So now you've got an expression or a formula or something to work with that no matter how many miles you walk, you just plug that in there for the X. In this case, it was 6. If it's 12, okay, 12 times 25 cents. So now you're going to have $3. I mean, $13. That's 10 plus 3. If JB walks 20 miles, because he's strong like that, now he's got $5, so $15. Right? Follow all that? So don't be afraid of this. See this right here? Some of you walk into this, you're like, man, already you're looking at it like it's really not that hard to understand. X is, right now, it's a symbol. It's a letter just standing for how many miles they walk. And in this problem, it was 6. So that's why they wrote 25 cents times 6. But you could solve it for any number of miles. What if you only walked a half a mile? Well, fractions are numbers too, and you know how to work with them. So it would be 25 times a half. You still figure out how much money you can collect. Good luck collecting 12.5 cents. Yeah.
Are numbers in algebra just Roman numerals? You know what I mean?
What?
Max, okay.
No, like
You laugh, so I don't know if you're trying to be
no,
funny.
I'm not being funny.
No,
That's a
no,
joke.
the letters, the representative letters can be any letter. Most of the time, they use X. A lot of times they use Y. Sometimes they'll use N. Like when you were in elementary school, a lot of times you'd see a problem like 12 plus N equals 15, right? And you had to find out what that N stood for number. What number would go there? Well, often in algebra we use X or Y. Or if you're looking for something specific like hours, you might use H to stand for hours. That's how they use it.
This also leads to the question: why are there even letters?
Okay, because this leads to the question, Max is saying, why are there even letters? Because, Max, just for this problem, that's why I'm taking all this time to stop and do it. Because this problem told you to use 10 plus 25 cents times 6, right?
Yeah.
That's based on this. Because in this example, he walked or she walked 6 miles. You could use this expression to figure out the money for a number of miles. Just plug it in for the X. This is the expression you would use to solve the problem.
Oh,
Just plug in whatever now, you don't have to guess what X is. And in this case, by the way, here's another distinction. You're not solving for X. Like we'll do algebra where you have to solve for X. 2 plus X equals 3. What's X equal? 1, right? You have to subtract 2 from both sides and get X equals 1. They're not even asking you to do that here. In this case, you love this because all you gotta do is plug in a number. 6 miles, plug in 6 for X. 12 miles, make the X a 12. 25 times 12, 25 times 6, whatever.
Well,
So sometimes it's really easy. You just plug it in.
why don't you just?
Well, right, we did. We just did 25 times 6 because they told us 6
I'm
miles.
going to be adding an extra step now. Right, because you have to
Okay,
climb
back to
that,
the beginning, Max.
and then you have to do it
Instead of
for 60.
resisting it, you have to accept it because you don't, first of all, you have no idea what your future holds. You might have plans, you might think you know. What are you, 13?
Yeah.
Okay,
Really?
let me tell you, you got no idea what God's plans are for your future. Somebody in here has no idea right now, but you might be an engineer. Somebody in here has no idea, you might be a doctor. Somebody in here has no idea, they might be some computer scientist or some astronomer or what. You have no idea where the Lord's going to lead you in the future. And if you don't get the basics here, what I said 10 minutes ago, the math keeps building on itself. If you go into Mrs. McCoy's calculus class, you'll see problems that have like, what? It'll look like there's no way you would even attempt it, right? Neither would I even, because there's so much, there's like letters and other symbols and what? Because there are things that complicated in life and in the world that can only be solved by certain mathematical formulas. And we have to learn how to work with them. Like in my world, I don't work in a field where life depends on my knowledge of all this mathematical, the language of science. Remember, that's what math is. But hopefully somebody in here is going to have a job that like is that important because it makes a lot of money. And people depend on you, and you got to know this kind of stuff way beyond this, right? So this is just the very foundation of it. So instead of resisting it, embrace it. Just say to yourself, I love that. And,
So it's just gonna get worse.
Here's what happens.
Yes.
Even if sometimes, because you know how they say if you tell a lie enough, people start to believe it's true, right?
Isn't mine?
That's what happens in society. They tell us enough lies, we start to all believe it's true. So you can reverse that and use reverse psychology and just keep telling yourself, I love math, even if it's not true yet, then maybe you'll start to accept it as true. But no, you shouldn't generally lie to yourself. Yeah.
Isn't lying a sin? So technically, if I hate math and I lie, math is a
We
sin.
didn't have to do 9, did you?
No.
Okay, jump down to number 10. For 10 through 20, you only had to do the even.
Yeah.
12 plus 10 minus 4, and what did you get? Logan,
18.
18.
Yay.
You just did those in
Yeah, I
order.
did.
Number 12, Sadie. 4.
What?
Number 14. A little tougher, number 14. Jordan,
18.
number 14, the answer is 18. If you did not get 18, listen, here's the drill, Micah and Liam. If you did not get 18, you look at it again. You go, oh, I see how they got 18. If that doesn't happen, then I need to know. We can help you fix that. Number 16. Emily,
10.
10. The answer to number 16 is 10. The answer to number 18, Christian,
6.
is 6. And the answer to number 20, what is the total cost? Ryan, $12. 3 notebooks times 2 is $6. 4 pens times $1.50 is another 6. $12.
I'm gonna take a ride.
Turn, yes.
What's the answer? 12.
12, the answer was 4.
Oh,
7
no.
minus 3. Turn the page. There's that word again. What word? Ladies and gentlemen, turning the page is done without the spoken word being necessary. You just go like this. So the only noise should be the turning of the page. There's that word again, expression. And it's used in a phrase called variable expression on page 15. If your eyes go to page 15, you'll see right there in the middle, highlighted for you, the words variable and variable expression. Variable. If something varies, give me a synonym that you could put in, because you're also not just young math students becoming mathematicians, you're also learning the English language and learning what words mean. What does the word varies mean? If something varies, what's it mean, Jack? Okay, it depends on something else, yeah?
Different kinds of options.
You got different options,
Different ways it could be done.
different ways, alternatives, yeah?
Changes.
It changes. So if something varies, your choice might be different, is what they were saying. Like you have a different alternative, you have a different option. Really, it comes down to change. This a variable. The x, just in the one we did earlier, we could change it to a 6. We could change it to a 12, depending on what information we're given. He walked 6 miles. So we changed the x, we changed the variable to a 6. You might write another problem where another person walked and they walked 12 miles. So we changed the x to a, see, it varies. In this person's case, it was a 6. In the other person's case, when they walked, now the x is a 12. It changed, depending on the situation, depending on the problem you're given. Now, what's a variable expression? Somebody read that out loud, nice and loud for us. Start with the word in the sentence. Maddie.
A variable is a symbol, usually a
No, variable expression.
The variable expression consists of numbers, variables, and operations. To evaluate a variable expression, substitute a number for each variable, then find the value of the numerical expression.
Okay, how many are seeing so many words like variable in there, your head's spinning right now?
What?
Yeah, or not even paying attention.
Only
Okay,
max.
listen. A variable expression has numbers, letters, and operations. Don't get lost in that language. A variable expression has numbers, letters, and operations. Arithmetic operations, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Fancy words, right? What's a variable expression? It's a statement, it's a something you write that has a variable in it. But it's also got numbers in it and operations in it. It could be addition, could be subtraction, could be division, could be multiplication. And how do you work with variable expressions? Maddie read to evaluate. Notice it didn't say solve. To look at this and figure out what the answer is, to evaluate it. So there's another fancy word. To evaluate it, to like judge what's the answer, to interpret the answer. To evaluate is to like judge or interpret, right? So how do we interpret this expression and give an answer for it? Well, we plug in 6 and we got $11.50. That was our evaluation of the problem. We didn't have to solve anything. There was no equal sign. We didn't have to solve for x. We just had to evaluate it by, listen, I'm telling you, you're going to love it. It's so easy. When they ask you to evaluate, all you do is plug the number in. Like you did with this, you just plug 6 in. So whenever you see the directions say evaluate, you'll get a little tingle in you and you'll be like, oh yeah, I love this. I don't have to solve. Now this solving is easy, right? But I don't have to solve for x. I just get to evaluate. What's that mean? Just plug it in. 6. The x becomes a 6, or the x becomes a 12, or whatever. Everybody with me? Okay, your turn now. We like to jump right into the pool. Listen, sometimes I go over the example, sometimes I don't. Here's why. That guy. See that guy with that face and those hands? He, right here, this guy. This guy right here with the face. See, he doesn't have hands like that. This guy with the hands and the face.
Yes, I had to face.
He dictates what I can do during the time, especially since I'm always looking out for you. And I want to give you as much time as possible to instruct you and give you time to get your homework done. So, listen, you see example 1 there with the balloon? You always have your textbook, and you can always refer back to those examples. If after hearing from me and working on it in class you don't understand it, you can go back and look at that example, maybe that'll help you. Ready? We're going down to the bottom of page 15. Number 1, if you travel for 3 hours more than they do in the example up top, what's your total distance? Well, they found out up top that in that example, he traveled 6 miles per hour. So they had to take his original distance. It says, where's it at? Up top it says, he already went 5 miles. So they set up a variable expression. He already went 5 miles, and then they tell us in the top of the page that he went 6 miles each hour after that. How many miles did he go? How many miles did he go? He started off, they told you, traveled 5 miles. You add to that, he traveled go ahead. Where are we at? Okay, yeah, you did number 1. He traveled 6 miles per hour. So if he traveled for 1 hour, 6 miles per hour. I think they put a T in there for time, right? They used a T for time. I was going to use an H. That's your variable expression. We already know he traveled 6 or 5 miles. And then you add to that 6 miles every hour. Every period of time, he travels 6 miles. So if he travels 1 hour, how many total miles did he travel? 11. Because we would go 5 plus 6 times 1, which is 6, we get 11. What if he traveled 2 hours? How far did he go? 17. 5 plus 6 times 2. 5 plus 12, 17. Number 1 at the bottom of the page is asking, what if you travel 3 hours more? He's gone 17 miles. What if he travels 3 hours more? He's already gone 17. What if he travels 3 hours more? Yes. What should I write here? 6 times
6 times 3.
3. Because he's traveling 6 miles every hour. So he's already traveled 17 from the example at the top. Number 1's asking us, how far would he travel if he went 3 more hours?
35 miles.
Right, because now it's 17 plus 18, 35. You following? You just use that expression, and you just, listen, easy peasy, you just plug in the number for the variable. Variable expression. This is often funny, and we make humor of it, but a lot of kids, when they first learn algebra, they think that when they solve and they find out what x is, that's what x is always going to be. Oh, x equals 2? Okay, good. That's solved. No. Yeah, you wish it was that way. The value for x or for t or for whatever changes. That's why they call it a variable. So we use this expression for the changing information. 3 hours, 5 hours, whatever. Everybody got it? Nadia, by the way, the answer to number 1 would have been 23 miles. Because they're taking the original 11. I'm sorry, 5. 5 plus 18. Number 1's, the question number 1, by the way, since I did say do number 1, the question number 1 says, if the person started off 5, you already knew they went 5 miles, and they traveled 3 hours more, it would be 6 times 3, 18 plus 5, 23. Right. Okay, go to the middle of page 16. I'm trying to go as fast as I can, so you have time to do your homework.
Why didn't you see the thing?
Review those phrases just in case you've forgotten. When you see a phrase like increased by means add, decreased by means subtract, product of means multiply, divided by means divide,
No,
or
it doesn't.
quotient of means divide, or how about this one? Per means divide. Remember that each, actually, per can also apply to multiplication. It depends on if you're looking for the total or you already have the total. Down at the bottom of page 16, your turn now. The directions say to evaluate. Watch how much success you have right out of the gate here. This is your first day of working with variables. Tell me what the answer to number 3 is at the bottom of 16. Your job is just to evaluate. You don't have to solve for anything. What does it mean to evaluate? Just plug it in. Matthew,
21.
what did they tell you the value for A was?
12.
Okay. When you see two things written right next to each other,
Oh,
go ahead. Now you change.
921.
No.
Oh, okay. I can look on.
When you see two things written right next to each other, like that, and you plug in A as 12, when things are written right next to each other, it means multiply. That's okay. I'm glad you did that, because that's something that we all have to get under control right now. If two things are written right next to each other, like I wrote 6 with the 1 in parentheses, right? If there's no operation in between the numbers, there's no addition sign, no subtraction sign, no fraction bar for division, no multiplication sign. If they're written right next to each other, it means multiply. What does it mean if two things are written right next to each other? Multiply. So 9A is literally 9 times A. So now Matthew's got a different answer. You're going to evaluate 9 times 12.
What?
108.
108. The answer to number 3, you plug in 12 for the A. What's 9 times 12? Liam remembers from 3rd grade his times tables. 9 times 12 is 108. Number 4. Look at that. They give you, Matt, did you ever think you'd see a math book where here's your problem, right? Here's your problem with number 4, Matt. AB.
CD.
What? Yeah. You're like, I don't know. What do you mean? Matt, the teacher wants you to give an answer to this. Did you ever think there would be such a day like, that's a math problem, Matt. AB. You can do it because the directions say to evaluate. What's evaluate mean? They're going to give you information you just have to plug in. What did they say A was? What's the top of the direction say? A equals 12. What's B equal?
3.
So here's what Matt's going to do. He's going to write, what does it mean, Matt and Matthew, when the two letters are written right next to each other? Does it mean add, subtract, multiply, or divide?
Multiply.
Okay, so he's going to rewrite that 12 times 3. And his answer is? His answer is?
36.
36.
Wow.
Can you believe it's that easy, JB? Just plug in the numbers. Jacob, Vander Capelli, number 5. Just plug in the number. Now they throw in parentheses. You got to use order of operations. What's it mean when there's something right next to the parentheses? Multiply, right?
Yeah.
So they got B and parentheses. I forgot already. Where we at?
A minus.
A minus 6. We're in the same set of directions. What did they say A was? Logan.
12.
12. Okay. I hone in on the parentheses. B times 12 minus 6. B times 6. What is B times 6? Well, what's B?
3.
3.
3.
3 times 6. What'd you get, JV? What'd you get? We're on number 5. 18. 18. Any questions? Last one is number 6 in this section. A is 12, B is 3. So you do the numerator. What'd you get for your numerator, Max? For number 6. It says 6A. So what goes on top?
36. No, to the point.
72.
Good job.
What's A minus B, Max? What's 12 minus 3? So what's 72 divided by 9? 8. If you got
So
8,
fast.
that's great. Wow. Max did that clock. Not leaving us much time for homework.
It's not.
Last thing.
Shouldn't have any.
How do I write? They've given me a sentence or a phrase, right? With words. How do I translate that into algebra ease? How do I translate that into an algebraic or variable expression? It says a number. What letter do you like to use for numbers? I mean, they usually
I
use
like to
X.
keep them separated.
I know, but they usually use X. What do you want? You want to use N? Okay. A number increased by 15. Who thinks this is correct? Ready? A number increased by 15. Who thinks that's correct? Raise your hand. Anybody think this is correct? A number increased by 15.
Well,
Who
that's
thinks
not-
this is correct?
Yeah.
And now it's correct
What?
because it's a number. Now, who thinks this is correct? A number increased by 15.
Is that
It's an S. Who thinks this is correct?
Yeah.
Who thinks this is correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what letter you use, just so you use something to stand for the number, the variable. And lastly, number 8, 8 times a number. How would I write 8 times a number? In the most convenient way.
8 times the number.
How would I write it?
8x.
8x! No, Micah,
8x.
who thinks he's being funny, right? He thinks he's being whatever.
Sure.
But he's actually, in a weird way that you don't know, only he and I know, he's providing me with a teachable moment because he knows that you don't write 8xx because, first of all, when you're dealing with x's, you don't even use the multiplication sign, use the raised dot, or you write it right next to it. So the answer to that would be not 8xx, it would simply be 8x.
I knew
Because Matthew Bushley knows when they're written right next to each other, that indicates multiplication. All right, here's your homework.
No.
Look, you got 2 minutes.
Oh, thanks.
All right, Ray,
That's
your homework is numbers 1 through 10 on page 17.
Oh.
And on page 18, look at 2 through 5, you only have to match. So you don't even have to worry.
Wow.
On page 18,
Okay.
so you got 1 through 10, and on page 18 you got 11 through 17 odd numbers only. I mean, I just make things too easy.
You do make things a normal amount of easy.
11 through 17 odd only. 1 through 10, and then 11 through 17 odd only.
Wait, how do I do odd?
So it's only 11, 13, 15, 17.
Yes.
1 through 10, and then
1 through 10.
1 through 10, 11, 13, 15, 17.
15, 17. What page is that?
18.
17 and 18?
Wait, so what
Yeah.
if you write 13?
Wait, what?
Now listen, I'm okay if you use this kind
1
of
through
paper.
10, 1
Yeah.
through
I'd
17.
like for you not to use all your graph paper for homework
Oh,
stuff.
I have lots of that paper.
Okay, good. Good, make sure it's neat like that, spaced out so I can read it. Thanks, Lou.
I don't have any graph paper.
You should probably get to work.
Well, Liam.
And
This is the side.
also,
Oh.
ladies and gentlemen, when you're doing math,
Oh, my pen.
use pencil.
Wait, did you throw it?
Did you throw it?
I fucking no, man.
Put it in his pocket.
I thought you threw it, honestly.
Yeah, I heard something. Did
I didn't think he was actually gonna throw it.
I wasn't looking.
Mr. Frankie, you're making your best in your own question.
Pen back. Come on. I think
Good work,
I
man.
think the class is over.
You something on pencil?
Probably, I don't know.
I think the class had. Oh no, it's not over yet.
Yes, highlighter. Oh, and Mark, I would think it's worth a lot.
No, it's Abrams.
Is it?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
3t minus 4 is a, what kind of expression? Hello, number one, right off the bat, what kind of expression is that? A variable expression. And then, 5 plus 13 is what kind of expression? There is no variable, so what kind of expression is that? What's, what? No, go back to page,
Mr. Franken,
yeah,
can I come here after school? Brooke's gonna be tutoring for like an hour.
really.
Yeah.
It's just a numerical expression, because there's only no.
Mr. Frankie, what does N mean?
It's the number, Max.
Like,
It means no.
3 hours.
I don't know. I think he said that.
Mr. Franken, do you want me to
What?
nag over?
Usually, depends, I still got work.
That's not my problem. Sorry.
Thank you.
What does N mean?
It means no.
Well, what number?
It's whatever,
You know, they
it's
tell you
the
that's
Max.
the beauty of it. When
You're
they
a
say
tree algebra,
evaluate,
come on now. I
you
thought
just
you
plug it
learned this
in.
whenever you left.
Yeah, dude, I'm better at prep than he was. You remember, I was a scholar.
Sir. I forgot to give U.S. history their papers again. I can remember.
Hey, man.
Let's say Thursday. What's activities varied on Thursday?
Here?
I think Tuesdays that you go to the tribes.
Yeah, no, we tried that. And there's people in there last time. People in there last time. Yeah. So we had to come see you. Stop saying that word, bro. Don't say that word. Really big fucking. Why are we the only people always in here? I swear she's mean. Should I listen to the black team?
You got the duck song.
They got the duck
You
song.
got the instrumental.
Hey, yo!
Well, they got 10 hours.
Oh, okay. I watched Burger King, and I watched the Where's everybody at? What did we do wrong? Oh, they have chemistry lab. That's why.
Oh, that's so.
Ow! Ow! This is a song! I got scared. Oh my gosh, he's so good. Songs.
Yo, I think it's time for some love somebody by Maroon.
Wait, hold on.
My name is Joseph.
No, Ruth's my bad. I'm sorry. Dude, it's just me and you.
That's what happens when you don't take science.
Should we go visit them? Hey guys. She's having a great time. Dude, I could just sit back and like, hey.
See if I see my car.
Dude,
Just go on the playground.
yeah, what curve did Bill kill his car on? I'm gonna.
He ate the curb.
Yeah. He blew his car up. He blew up his wheel. That sucks.
It's like, boys got a flat top. Okay, fix it. I don't care.
It took him a half hour to get the wheel off, tire off. We think it better shred too.
He's like, no, I got blacked out.
Yeah. It's like, wow, man.
Frankie just disappeared on that minute and played the Black Beach song.
Well, this is the greatest Radiation 5 song.
We got the sound.
Yeah.
So racist. What did he say? Thug life.
Where's everybody?
Come left. We
We're not
take
in science. Shit.
So Thursdays come, oh, it's only like every other or something?
that.
Just so you know, I thought of this in the hallway. Anything you've been saying, I forgot to shut the video off for the algebra, so hopefully you weren't saying anything.
No, we didn't say anything.
I mean,
The Russian national anthem was playing, but other than that.